What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. We are back on Dani Clos's Porsche Carrera S. We got some headlights in this bad boy, we got the gunny wheels on it. We got this thing finally on the ground and looking like it's starting to look like a car. If you haven't checked out the last episode, what we had to go through to go from a rolling chassis, well a non-rolling chassis, Dani just dropped off to the shop, it's just a shell and a bunch of parts, to what you see here. Go ahead and hit the link in the description below. So we went ahead and got this car on the ground. Next up, this episode, we're gonna be working with the drivetrain. As you can see, we're missing something in there. Something very crucial. Yes, we need an engine and transmission. So a lot of you guys see on YouTube, people are doing LS swaps to these things because the factory engine is very expensive. We're not gonna do that. What do we got here, Chris?
It's a 911 2014 turbo engine.
Ooh.
Out of a Turbo S.
And this is a 3.8 liter, right?
Yep.
So by what I'm told, I'm not really a Porsche guy. This is the hot rod motor everyone wants. So this is a twin turbo engine from the factory. This came standard in a 2014 model.
Yep.
So we're building a little bit of a resto mod, I guess. So we got a 2007, 2008 model chassis with a 2014 engine. We have been, as you can see, slowly putting together all the spare parts that Dani gave us. We got our starter, intake manifold that I'm really questioning as far as the flow on that. Got our oil cooler. We got all our little fittings and stuff like that for the coolant system. This engine looks very confusing to me. I wish we were just putting that in it. But we got this big mystery box from our friends at BMA European. And I think this is gonna be the missing pieces we need to get this engine in the car today. So let's go ahead and unbox this thing, see what we got cooking, and see what we can do to get this engine in the car. All right, so we got the box open, and I have to say that the old boys at BMA European know how to package up some goods. So this is a Porsche 6-speed gearbox, and then we have a mystery box over there. Go ahead and open that up, see what we got. This should be half shafts, clutch, all the little accoutrements that we need. Oh, even more packaging. Look at that fancy packaging.
Very nice.
Oh yeah, we got a clutch pedal.
Pedals and everything.
Cables. We got our clutch pedal. Got all our pedals. Full pedal box. All plastic, of course. Got our shifter. And what else do we got? Oh yeah, we got half shafts. We got half shafts. So, oh, gas pedal. And then we got a clutch. Nice. Yeah, so that's a factory turbo clutch. We probably will upgrade later on to something a little bit spicier. But for right now, we think that this is gonna do just fine. This is a turbo clutch, so it should be able to handle about 600 horsepower. I think this engine comes factory with about 400, 450, somewhere around there. We should be good to go though. So we can get this all unboxed and start figuring out how we're gonna get it to be made it up to the car. We survived without breaking our backs. So we got the big old honking transmission bolted up to the engine now. So we get this all bolted up, and then we're gonna get the whole assembly on a flat panel, and then get the car back on the lift, and we'll be able to get this engine in the car. All right, engine is in. Get this wood out of the way. I was just using that as a little shim. So I was a little worried about this thing being a little too big for the frame rails. It's clearly not. And the engine is pretty much where it needs to be. How we know that is this cross brace that actually supports this outside subframe and that outside subframe. So this is removable, so you can remove the engine. And I was looking at pictures online, and the transmission pretty much is like one paper hair away from that cross member, by what I can see. So I got the engine up to the point where it needs to be. The oil pan is pretty much level with the bottom of the car now, and it turns out we're missing our transmission mount, and there's two mount bolts on the actual body that line up with this, and you guys are probably going to comment down below saying how silly you are that you don't even know how to put a Porsche back together. But to be fair, we got this thing in a million pieces and we have no idea what it looked like when it was all together. So what I'm gonna do now is, well, first of all, I gotta get my hands on a transmission mount, because that's gonna tell me exactly where the engine needs to be, front and back. This is looking good as far as our lineup with the wheels. And then we can start making our mounts up here. So I pretty much decided to make a new transmission mount. This is the one that comes with the engine that's in the car. The problem is that this engine is from a 2014 or 15 911, and our car is a 2008. The difference between this bracket and the older car is the older car has a 16-inch spread on this mounting surface here and here. So if we measure this guy, it's roughly 11 and a half inches. So they narrowed it up for whatever reason in the newer model, and then the older model was 16 inches. So we have to widen it significantly. This is some weird pot metal aluminum. I'm not even gonna try to cut this up and weld on it because it's just not gonna be worth it. So what I'm gonna use is some DOM tubing. I'm gonna make my mounting points first, the same thickness as these guys. Because my plan is to just take this and make a T. So we have a 16-inch spread with the flat bar going across. Then all I have to do is take a piece of angle, and then connect the dots with some verticals. And if you see this, it's actually jogging back. It's not completely square. So I'll probably have to do that in the car, which means I'm gonna have to mock the engine up to a point where it's actually staying still somehow, probably with the assistance of some 2x4s and wood. But for right now, I'm gonna make this cross piece and then be able to make these lower mounts, and then we can go ahead and throw it all in the car, shim it however way we need to, and then be able to weld it in the car when we get it perfectly straight. All right, so we got the upper half of our transmission mount all set. As you can see, it's quite complicated. So the transmission yoke, where you would do like an all-wheel drive system, is sitting inside of here. So it had to jog over it. I thought I'd be able to get away with doing just a straight pipe going across, and that didn't happen. We're on about this wavelength right now, so we're a little higher than the original one. So what we have to do is we gotta get this bolted in the car, and then these mounting points here and here, we're gonna take some angle brackets and then take some of this material and then basically jog these brackets up, boom, boom, and then maybe gusset in a triangle like this. Gotta make sure this thing is nice and stout. Otherwise we're gonna have some issues when this thing's making some serious power. So let's get this bolted in the car first, and then we'll go ahead and figure out how we're gonna make our points match. It is in. Pretty pumped. So we got our bracket, our upper bracket, nice centered on our hump. So now we're gonna go ahead and make our side brackets, our little angle pieces. We're gonna throw a bolt in there, get these nice and tight, and then we're just gonna connect the dots. One here, boom, one here, and then probably do one more out to here and one more out to here. That's gonna give it tons of strength. All right, so we got our transmission mount pretty much dialed in. We got our cross braces in here and here. As you can see, it's gonna give a lot of strength to that transmission mount because we have a lot of power coming from right here with this engine twisting like that. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna leave it here. We're not gonna take it out and final weld it just yet because we're gonna be using this for mock-up right now. We're gonna go ahead and get the car on the ground, and we're gonna probably put a jack right here in the center and be able to pivot with some shims. We're also going to do a bunch of measurements to make sure that we're Our head is the same distance on this side to this side. And then we're gonna go ahead and put our plate on the front, this motor mount plate right here. From there, then we'll put our motor mounts in, and then we're gonna start building our brackets off of our removable bar to this flat. Once we get that done, we can pull the back bar out, we'll pull the tranny mount out, final weld everything, then install it, and we should have a fully installed engine ready for the next step. Well, thankfully we found the original mounts, and what was messing with my head was the mounts are so high inside of the back of the car. Well, turns out that we're missing this entire piece. There's a whole piece that goes here. They all cut that out that we're missing. So because of that, these motor mounts look like they're flying high. Well, these are the original mounting points. I cleaned them up already a little bit and trimmed them up. I'm gonna cap the backside of this so that it's closed up. And then what we'll do is we'll mock up this in the car, like this. And then we're gonna make some connecting points to put it back into the car to add some strength back in there. So we're gonna go ahead and make some templates, weld these up, throw them in the car, and see what we can do. All right, so this is the first step of our motor mounts. So I took the original mounts that were cut out of the car, sheet metaled the outside of them, cleaned them all up, made them look like they're meant to be. So what we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna bolt our actual motor mount. These are hanging mounts, so the engine hangs from this guy. So we'll bolt these in place, get them mocked up in the back of the car, and then see what we have to do to tie this actually into the chassis. All right, so we moved the Porsche over to the new side of the shop. Still gotta set this thing up, guys. I need some benches or something. Give me some comments down below. Let me know what I should be hanging on these walls because they're looking very bare. But anyway, we got the Porsche on the ground. Engine's looking really nice in there. We gotta add some extra little gussets. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a bolt-on plate here with a piece of 1-inch moly going straight down to this bar. So basically it's gonna tie into the motor mount. This is obviously just floating off of this inside wall and the frame rail. I'm gonna add another little gusset on the inside here, probably box this in to give it some strength to stop it from bending down. And then we'll add another piece here. So we're gonna do this and this. We're gonna final weld all this in, add a gusset in this corner, and in that back corner, I'm gonna have to put a jack stand probably underneath the engine so I can get this back motor plate off. I'll get the motor mounts out of the way and we'll clean this up, get all of that welded in, get that done. And this engine install's pretty much there. Not much more we can do with it. We got our transmission mount, and we got these rear mounts. That's pretty much all Porsche uses to hold their engines in. I'm pretty surprised. So we're gonna go ahead and get that done now and get this engine install completely finished. All right, so our rear motor mounts are pretty much all set. I decided not to weld this guy here because these things are pretty sturdy. So we have our gusset in the corner, we got our gusset down here on the bottom, welded it all up. It's gonna need a little primer. But all in all, I think I might do a bar going across to be able to stop these from flexing in on themselves. But I want to get the rear motor plate and all the accessories in first before we add a bar in. But for right now, this is all pretty much built in. The only difference between this and factory is there would have been sheet metal that went all the way across here, and that's the only reason why I'm thinking about doing a link bar to go across, to basically give this back half of the car some more strength outside of this. This does a lot. This is gonna stop the frame rails from actually like going like this, but I think in order to get this just a little bit more strength, doing a piece of 1-inch moly on this far corner inside of here across would probably be perfect. But for right now, I'm gonna mock this all back up, get the car on the ground, and see how it looks. All right guys, we got our engine and our Porsche finally installed. I know I wanted to add another bar, but honestly, I can't do this until I really know what's gonna be in the way. So I think for this episode, we're pretty much done. So to recap, we got our motor mounts in. These things were completely shredded and cut out of the original back end of the car. As you can see, all this stuff is missing. There originally was a big piece that goes here, a bunch of sheet metal down here. This is all cut away back in Spain where Dani originally had this car. We got our backing plate in. As you can see, our engine is sitting free. Our intake manifold is loose. We have some of our accessories on. We're still missing our alternator and AC compressor. Those are coming in the mail. But a big thing that we were looking for, guys, was that space there between the engine, transmission, and that cross member. I wanted to make sure that once I had all of this in place, these motor mounts, how they hang, they kind of stretch. I didn't want anything to be touching the actual chassis or subframe of the car. Otherwise, you're gonna get crazy vibrations. You can crack a crankcase or your transmission case, whatever that might be. We also got a really nice transmission mount in the front of the car with that triangulated chromoly that we made it out of. And we also got this thing pretty much sitting completely level. There's not a whole lot you can do with this setup as far as where it can sit. You know, you want to get the engine as far back as you can and get it above that cross member. That was kind of our gauge. There's not a whole lot of information about this swap online. Not sure if we're the first ones to do it, but I couldn't find anything about a 3.8 twin turbo direct injected 2017 engine in a 2008 Carrera 4S. I might be wrong. Comment below, flame me, I don't know. But that's gonna be it for this episode, guys. Next episode, we're gonna be continuing on the Porsche. We're gonna be working on the coolant system, finalizing our rear brakes, as well as hopefully getting some accessories in with the engine. And maybe, just maybe, Dani can find enough pennies in the backyard to throw a set of Garrett's on this thing and really go all in with a really cool twin turbo system. That's what I'm hoping for, but we'll see what we can do. For right now, this is just kind of like a little project of his, and it's gonna be a really fun car once it's all said and done. So anyway, guys, we do have something really cool coming up very soon. I have a really cool car coming to the shop that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm so excited it's coming back. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, because you're not gonna wanna miss what's coming back and what we're gonna be doing next with it. But anyway, for the Porsche, Dani's Porsche for now, and for this episode, we'll see you on the next one.